Hi, I'm Rose Krzemien. This is my presentation, Mind-Body Connection, How the Brain Can Protect the Heart. Background about the article. It was published in Everyday Health very recently, January 14th. The author opened up with a story about a patient he had who suffered from emotional stress in relation to her dog biting her after a traumatic event, causing her to pass out. After studies in the hospital, they found out that she had cardiomyopathy. This caused the author to look more into the subject, into understanding the relationships between emotion and health, as well as the brain and the heart. Studies included the author's own study, which looked at the relationships with spouses and how we control our emotions. Although this has nothing to do with heart health, he brought up the relationship of stress, which is very present later in my presentation. Mainly, a combined study recently concluded the relationship between heart disease and the amount of stress in the workplace. Overall, men seem to have more of this than women, and a recent phenomenon in Japan is seen in younger men who are otherwise very healthy are suffering from strokes and heart disease related to this stress that they are experiencing in the workplace. Researchers at Johns Hopkins found the presence of the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which works as a natural antidepressant and creates more communication between the nervous system and the brain. They also found that it relates with the heart, and in relation to their mice experiment, mice that had BDNF were more likely to handle stressful situations as well as healthier hearts than those who did not. So what might cause this problem? Some of the stress can be caused by medical procedures, such as chemotherapy, not only just the chemicals that are being emitted, but also as the amount of stress that this type of situation can cause a person. The presence of depression, which is commonly in relationship with stress, and even being exposed to too much adrenaline, which we commonly see in endurance athletes who are very healthy human beings that do have heart disease. What can we do to make changes? Mainly dietary habits, sticking to whole foods such as fruits and veggies, eating omega-3 polyunsaturated fats such as fish and nuts, physical exercise, quality of sleep, and the quality of relationships. So cons about the article, there was not too much detail about any other research. The author didn't even include his own research on this topic of the relationship between the heart and the brain. And the only reference to it was based on just that one patient, and there was no scientific details about any of the other reference research. But some of the pros, there were correlated similarities of other emotional adaptive studies, and it sparks the interest and discussion into thinking about the relationship between the brain and the heart, and also the relationship to emotion as well as health. The article I found was in the Monitor of Psychology journal, which was published way back in 2002, which looked at stress being a factor in triggering heart disease. Every single person throughout the lifespan should make healthier choices to prevent the amount of heart disease from increasing, just as a general rule of thumb, not necessarily any correlation being causation. And actually, some of these lifestyle changes that might be beneficial in the long run are most likely not being fulfilled by individuals because of the amount of stress that the lifestyle changes that have to be made in order to meet that outcome actually cause on those individuals. And these are my references. Thank you for watching.